looking to extend it out to 5-0. We are spawning in, and on the south side of the map, playing in the color red. As the English, you're going to have the Mista.
Yeah, you can see he's going very aggressive with the scout right away. You want to try to prevent the sheep for the Mongol player.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to have that out nice and early. Up towards the north, we've got MarineLorD spawning in. Now, take a look at his spawn, Viper. He is up against a wood line and, I suspect, a gold mine. This is pretty good.
That is a beautiful town center. The only concern I have here is that he is playing against English, and trust me, when Mista scouts that the Ovu is so exposed, that's exactly where Mista will try to apply his pressure.
So you think he's going to be coming in? Do you reckon some early scouts potentially? How do you think he's going to look to apply that pressure?
So the thing here for Mista is that he kind of, the Ovu decides a lot how you can play against the Mongols. If the Ovu is complete, if the Ovu was next to the main town center as well,
yep,
then he could probably not punish anything in that area. However, the Ovu is far, far away from the town center of Mista, so from MarineLorD. So Mista suddenly has so many more options to actually put pressure and try to make a forward position there, which it would be really hard to take back as the Mongol player.
And already we see something interesting coming out here for MarineLorD. So looking to drop down a pasture. Interestingly, not putting this on the Uvu where it generates sheep faster. Instead, going for a bit safer back towards the town center. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the issue I see with this distance to the Uvu as well is that if you place the pasture there, I'm pretty sure if the scout of Mista ran past, he would actually be able to steal the sheep.
I suspect so,
that is
yes.
Spawning. So I do understand it is safer, but obviously you would prefer to have it closer to the Ovu so you get that production.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to have it close to the town center, at least for now. But we'll have a look how he goes through the game because he's already collecting up plenty of gold. Mista looking to age up here. Now, you mentioned one of the things is that Mista's probably going to be looking to apply pressure on this Uvu. Do you think there's any chance that Mista goes for a second town center up against the Mongols?
I think maybe down the road, but the way I understand Mista, he likes to play the early feudal age with English and then kind of adapt from there. And if he sees the opponent try to play anything greedy, he will counter with his own greed and just go for the King's Palace as his second town center with a fast castle age. But in this game, I believe I'm not sure if he has scouted the Ovu placement of MarineLorD yet. He has not. So he actually is going into this blind. I'm pretty sure if he knew the Ovu position, he would have definitely been looking to apply a lot of pressure.
All right, well, it looks like we've got that age up in queue. I suspect there's not going to be too many shenanigans coming out with the council hall. Right next to that town center, going to be absolutely fine. Doesn't look like too much pressure coming out from his opponent yet, either MarineLorD, who is not necessarily known as an aggressive Age of Empires player, more of a methodical, laid-back kind of guy. So no real surprises yet at this stage, but a lot of sheep trailing his gun.
He's going for the deer stones, as we can see, which is the meta. Again, we were talking about the silver tree earlier. If you could go for the trade, he cleverly, in my opinion, decides to not, because the Yam network is one of the ways you can actually punish an aggressive English player. Because if he moves within the range of the Yam network, suddenly you can maybe overwhelm with units, and he will not be able to escape.
Looks like Mista's going to be dropping down an early mill here. Now, keep in mind, this isn't on his berries. It's right next to his town center, so able to keep in those farms nice and close. But is this a sign of a potential early wheelbarrow?
If you look at the Mista's gold count right now, you will see he stopped at exactly 150. And what's the cost of wheelbarrow?
150.
Indeed.
So I suspect we're going to be having a wheelbarrow clicked through any second here for Mista. So this has also been a bit of a story of the tournament. We saw earlier in the tournament, people not really sure whether to go for those early wheelbarrows, but we are seeing it out in a few different matchups.
Yeah, I think the people have realized over time that the wheelbarrow is incredibly important because not only does it give you an economic boost, but it also allows the villager to escape from military units faster. As we see Mista applying some pressure on the Uvu, finally knowing that it's super exposed, as we see MarineLorD trying to build a tower, and the scout being a bit annoying. But nice move by MarineLorD where he actually kills 2 of the sheep following Mista's scout.
Yeah, that's a pretty big trade right there. Now, I suspect he's probably not going to be looking to grab those sheep up just this early, but they'll be there for a while, and he obviously denies that from Mista as well. But I guess keep in mind, he's playing the English. He can transition over to farms. It's not going to hurt him a huge amount, and I suspect that's probably why he was happy to come in there, put on a bit of pressure. But as you correctly predicted, there could be pressure coming out towards this Uvu. MarineLorD subsequently comes out, drops an outpost just in case.
Exactly, and that's the pretty thing with English, and the fact that he went for the council, he got up to the feudal age very fast, and MarineLorD doesn't know if the pressure is coming. But as we can see, if we look at Mista's base, he already placed multiple farms, he's setting up that economy, he wants to get the steady food income that will just propel him into the next phase of the game. Whether he decides to go for more feudal age army, or if he decides to just take it slow, get to castle age, get that economy going, and then try to take the game from there.
And it looks like this Khan just doing so much damage up towards the north here. So, you know, I love to complain about things, Viper, and the Khan is one of those things I love to complain about. We see it chasing around this scout, was firing out its arrows so quickly before, as soon as MarineLorD reached the second age, he popped off that that attack speed arrow. But now it's chasing down the scout. Looks like he's going to be able to survive for another day here as the longbows do come and rescue it. But yeah, Khan looking very strong early, and MarineLorD known for his control.
Yeah, the MarineLorD, obviously a great micro player coming from StarCraft 2, playing as Terran, where there was insanely amounts of micro involved. Same kind of style in AoE4. He does like to take engagements and make small micro moves to win fights. And the Khan is... I think we've all voiced our complaints about the Khan over time, especially upon hitting Castle Age, but luckily they have recently been nerfed. So I think they're in a more acceptable place, but still, the Khan, incredibly powerful unit for... I mean, you get a Khan for free, right? And if you lose it, you get it for free again in 2 minutes. So it's an incredible, valuable unit for the Mongols.
Yeah, you're 100% on the money. But we now actually start to see double stable going to be coming out. Now, this is scouted before MarineLorD, or before Mista rather, can even finish these buildings. So the question is whether Mista's going to be up to any cheeky shenanigans. We've seen him recently. He does this thing where he pulls the villagers away at the last second, just completes them at 99%. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening today. But I remember asking Mista, how do you beat MarineLorD? And I think he said words to the effect of, you show them a whole bunch of buildings, but you don't build anything out of them.
Yeah, I mean, right now, MarineLorD went for the stable blindly. Obviously, you can expect it to be a few longbows, so Horseman probably is never a bad unit. MarineLorD also likes to play Horseman. He goes for stable very often with a lot of different civilizations, so it's no surprise to see him do it here as well, because it gives him that mobility, and MarineLorD is obviously, as we all know, a very fast player, so he can harass in multiple places at the same time, use that mobility that he loves to use as well. And Mista, he made a double stable, but yeah, he is producing 2 horsemen right now, but he could actually go for the safe approach and just make the farms, as you can see, and then put villas on gold, and then steadily make his way to Castle Age.
And I love this strategy. I think it's so smart to be using the farms like this in the early game, because it really is a sort of, it's a boom in a way. You're investing in your economy, and obviously the English villagers, they're gathering up that food so much faster on the English farm, so it makes a lot of sense. So realistically, when we look at the top of your screens, when you see those 29 villagers up against the 28, you got to keep in mind that Mista's villagers are worth a lot more right now than MarineLorD's.
Yeah, we're gonna see the economy change quite drastically eventually here, I think. But MarineLorD as well with Mongols. The beautiful thing about Mongols and their pastures is that you never expand outside of your town center to take food. You can always keep all your villages under your TC, so there is no food out on the map to harass. Unlike, in this case, English, even though they also have the safety sort of around the town center, they're still harassable by, for example, the Conner. And even horsemen could jump on the farms on the edges of the mill and try to pick up a villager.
Yeah, we can see that Mista's obviously begun expanding his farm so far out that they're no longer underneath the safety of that town centre, but more pastures being added in. A MarineLorD looking to go up to the castle age now. We can see he's got that blacksmith down as well, so do we potentially see an improved siege engineering coming through here?
I think, first of all, the blacksmith was dropped as a just-in-case thing, because if the longbows would keep coming across the map with the horsemen, he would have liked to have the +1 armor. We also saw the pasture that was pointed out earlier. I'm not sure if he still has... Okay, cancel it now. So he had queued it up for a long time and never finished it, because I saw it in the previous image as well. But he's now finally finishing it. And MarineLorD is going for Castle Age and, as you pointed out, the improved siege engineers.
Yeah, this is pretty smart. Now, he's got to be careful up towards his position. We saw this happen yesterday in this exact same matchup. The English have the potential to move in and deny this step redoubt from going up. Now, we can see that there's not a lot of longbows out on the field at the moment, so I don't think the pressure's really going to be there. But that step redoubt a little bit far away from that main town centre.
Nice move by Mista there. As you can see, it's already preemptively put up the... with the longbows, I'm not sure what the English word is. Maybe you can...
Palings.
Palings, yeah. They're already set up in case some horsemen come in, so MarineLorD isn't paying attention. He could have potentially been trapped there. But yeah, it looks like we're just heading into a quite steady Castle Age play from both sides. And I think MarineLorD will probably be the person to try and apply pressure. Likely that we'll see maybe some barracks dropped, maybe some spearmen, man-at-arm siege push, as we typically see with Mongols as they get the siege engineers or Abbasid. But at the moment, I don't see a barrack still.
So coming into this, I feel like Mista would probably be pretty happy with his matchup, knowing that MarineLorD's on the Mongols, himself on the English. How does MarineLorD win this game from here?
Well, apparently by going Lancers. So we see MarineLorD go, like I think almost every match I watch him play, he likes to go stable. He wants the mobile units, he wants to multitask, want to micro and raid at multiple times at the same time. It looks like he's aiming for the same approach here. Obviously now the Khan is also extra strong because of hitting Castle Edge, so he does extra damage. And he wants to make some Lancers, probably get around and raid some economy of Mista, but Mista is well aware of it himself. And he should be in Castle Edge himself, and he has 2 stables, and he will probably be able to match the production of Knights for the time being.
And have a look how many villagers he's got on gold here. We see that the horsemen pick up a couple of longbows and the villagers turn around to just hashtag English things. But there's a lot of villagers on gold here for the Mista. What has he got in his mind, do you think?
So he knows that he has the farming setup now, right? And the food income when you get those farms rolling is like, I don't know how many times I've played English and I make farms and suddenly I'm floating 1,000 food. So
yeah.
I reckon the goal is simply to keep up the numbers. He wants to be able to produce Lancers or Knights himself non-stop. And that looks to me like what we're going to see coming up here. So it's interesting. He made Siege Engineering. I assume it was the improved one. We didn't see that specifically. But then he has no units that can actually build Siege.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, especially out of MarineLorD. I think he likes to just have it in the bag, but obviously for every time his research siege engineering improved, that's using up that precious stone, which he could be converting into an extra Lancer out on the field. So it does definitely hurt him, but it's nice just to have it in the back pocket, I guess. But I got to agree with you, it doesn't make a lot of sense coming out this early. But now Mista's on the second town center. He's definitely in the driver's seat. As long as he defends for the next few minutes, he should be okay heading into the late game. What's MarineLorD going to look for? Does he have any sort of timing windows that open up for him?
MarineLorD is already setting up for the late game. He's picking up the relics now with the monks, and as you can see, if you look at his resources, that wood count is climbing towards 900, and he dropped a market, which is commonly used these days for trading that step redoubt gold into an extra town center. So I feel like that's what MarineLorD is going for here. So second TC, try to stay on par with village account and just bring it to the late game with relic advantage.
It's interesting how, as the maps have sort of been rounded out now, the meta a little bit more stable, we enter into this sort of boomy phase in Age of Empires where players are, you know, typically you would only see a second town center come out in Mongol mirrors, but now it looks like a second town center being dropped down in this matchup as well. So MarineLorD not afraid in these circumstances to take things late game.
It also makes sense though, right? Because if you look at the setup for Mista, it's like, it's really hard to actually do damage as we have the monk here trying to get the conversion.
That's going to be a pretty good swing. Oh, he got it. I'm impressed. That was very risky coming in like that.
Yeah, those situations there, I always struggle to judge them if I should go or should I not, because the damage feels inconsistent sometimes, and you never know how the pathing of the units is going to work out. But luckily here for Mista, he was able to snipe the monk, and now Mista also has the information that MarineLorD is out there. He's picking up the relics.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's aware that the prayer tent's going to be out there, the shaman's going to be doing its thing. He's coming back and taking a look at the Uvu, seeing exactly what MarineLorD looks at. But MarineLorD stacking up a fair bit of resources. Is he thinking about going Imperial here?
I don't think so. I believe it's just the natural stacking of resources, as he has a lot of villages now, he got a lot of pastures, so the eco is coming in, and the step redoubt, you kind of always float gold with Mongols once you have the step redoubt. And MarineLorD, I think, is also still in the position where he's not really sure what he should commit 100% on. It's a big fight here.
Ooh, Khan going down as well. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to pop out that movement speed arrow today, but it looks like MarineLorD is going to be able to make it away, and Mista managing to run away with a larger number advantage in this situation. Now, keep in mind, he does have those upgrades. He's got the melee defense upgrade compared to his opponent MarineLorD, who's only got the range defense, so going to have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to these fights, but still trying his best. You can see that single knight just defending against those horsemen, having a great time. But at this point in time, I mean, MarineLorD behind about 7 villages. Is that really that significant? Doesn't matter?
It's not like game ending yet. But obviously, if we see some raids happening here, if Mista loses some villages as well and falls behind maybe 15, 20 vills, suddenly it's like game-ending damage. But MarineLorD now adding more stable himself. He's going to commit fully on the Lancer play here. And so he has made his decision on where he wants to commit. The issue I see here with Marino's play is that Lancers of Mongols really shine under the Yam network, because that's when you can outmaneuver your opponent all the time. You can chase down his units if he's moving too close, and you can escape if you move too far. In this situation, where the aggression... Now, defensively, they're great, because now he has the Yam network, but he is taking damage here.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage coming through, but have a look how many stables are going up here for MarineLorD. A lot of knights in his wood line. This is looking good for Mista at this point. He's got a lot more military coming out than MarineLorD. MarineLorD, who sits on 6 military units at the moment, there's 18 out for Mista, so triple the amount of units. And look at this Viper. There's just so many units in the base of MarineLorD right now.
This was a fantastic time of Mista. I think it's actually encouraged by the scouting he did earlier. He ran past the Ovo, he only saw one stable. So he probably knew that he is actually outnumbering him. And as you can see now, there's just too much. MarineLorD needs... Oh, he needs to get a Wallaloo.
He's going in for the Wallaloo. Looks like one knight deciding to turn around. He's been scared off by the Wallaloo, realizes that there's just no chance he's going to be able to take it out. Now going to be turning his attention back towards that shaman. MarineLorD might have typed out GG. The first game going over to Mista. You see that fist bump. He's looking very strong in game 1, Viper.
Indeed. He just played it steadily and safe, right? He was always scouting on top of what was coming. He always knew if there were like which technology MarineLorD was heading towards, and he always was prepared with his own tech and just building up to that steady, better economy, and he hit the perfect timing. Just as MarineLorD added 5 stables is when Mista came in, and that was enough.
Yeah.
We talked about the villager difference. If it goes down 15, 20, game is over.
And that's exactly it. We saw that there was a point there he was stacking up all those resources as well. That could have been into Lancers. It could have been into those Knights, but unfortunately didn't have the stables for it, and it meant he really got punished. So great play there by Mista. He's looking incredible at this point in time. Obviously, you played up against Mista. He's quite the foe, it seems, but even MarineLorD having a bit of trouble in the first game.
Yeah, Mista is a very strategic player. Like, you just listen to the way he talks about the game. It feels like he has thought through every single possible outcome of a single Civ matchup on each map as well. Yeah, it's short here as well. I think this is probably what he wanted as well, English against Mongols. Mongols, this tournament, not the most impressive record. So English might actually be a good pick into Mongols these days.
It is wild, isn't it? Coming into this, you think China is a bottom tier Civ, Mongols is a top tier Civ. Whoop. It's the other way around. China with 80% win rate, Mongols with, I think there must be less than 30 now. It's disgusting.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. They've just been losing non-stop. Maybe we can find out a little bit more from production as to what that win percent is. But we're going to be heading into Game 2 shortly. It looks like we've already got the map, so it is going to be King of the Hill that players have gone for here. What type of civs do you think they're going to be opting for here?
I already know that Mista will play Mongols. He loves Mongols on this map, and he feels like doing the pasture approach here is pretty much unstoppable. Because the distance is so far, you don't really want a tower rush because you have to walk across the whole map.
Yep.
And the Spearman opening these days doesn't feel like it has the same oomph that it has in the past.
I'm really glad you used that word because that's exactly what it feels like. It doesn't have enough oomph. But yeah, King of the Hill. So Mongols coming out for the Mista probably. I agree with you. Wait, French Mirror?
Interesting. I mean, French is a very good saver, and it's a normal... it's a meta pick on this map as well. I was actually expecting Mongols here, but maybe Mista has an ace up his sleeve and wants to use them elsewhere. But yeah, we're going to have a French mirror.
Yeah, the way I was thinking about it, so Mista's got Mongols, he takes them here, and then at the same time, MarineLorD knows that the Mongols are going to come out, so he probably doesn't want to pick French. So he's probably going to pick something like, Abbasid or English or something like that. But Mista knows that.
Yeah.
So he says, I will pick the French then. But then MarineLorD's just gone level 1 and he's been like, I'll just pick French, it's
but
fine.
Do you want to play French against Abbasid?
Definitely not. Maybe against English, though.
Maybe. It's a tricky one. Like, that's also what makes these types of best of 5 so interesting as well. You have to think. There's also so much mind game, right? You can look at the maps and be like, oh, I want to play this civ there. But then again, wait, my opponent will probably think I'm playing this civ there. So I should go this civ. But then again, he's
maybe
thinking...
the opponent knows that I wanted to go that civ.
Exactly. And then we have the trickle effect.
Yes.
And
then both players are just like, we'll just play French. We'll call it safe.
Exactly.
We're not going to do anything fancy because there's nothing worse than picking English and then being like, English into French or something like that on this map because this is a great map for the French. We've seen a lot of good games in this tournament so far between the French on this map. I'll be honest, I don't particularly like mirror matchups. I know you feel quite similar.
I don't mind them because if you play a mirror match as a competitor, you feel like I'm losing this game if I get outplayed. So that's fine, right? You don't feel, I lost because of civ advantage or disadvantage.
But that's the best part because then you can blame the civilization.
I get that. On your level, that's probably how it is. But but I do understand where you're coming from, though. It's sorry, by the way.
That's all right. That's okay. I got top 512 in Genesis, I'll have you know.
Oof. Big gun right here.
Impressed?
Did Nilly get the same?
No, Nilly didn't even enter.
So technically,
Nilly down here.
Humiliating.
I'm up here.
But either way, French. The reason they're so known on this map or popular on this map is that, first of all, the Knights mobile unit. This map is huge. There's so many distances to cover.
Yep.
Mobile units definitely shine on those situations. And then it's like you also have the center where there's only one sacred site, and French that shine with a lot of military early on, and you get the keeps of French going, you get the influence bonus around. It's just so hard to take back that middle if French first gets the initiative and control of the game.
Yeah.
But we have a French mirror, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, which way is it going to go? There's a couple of different ways that the cards could fall, but I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot of dead villagers. I suspect it's probably going to be a lot of dead knights as well, and I'd be very surprised whether we see that barracks opening come out from people or whether they just look to stick to knights, because that is something that we have been seeing more and more often. I remember casting a little bit earlier, someone mentioned they don't know whether it's best to go for a barracks or not, but it definitely seems to be the way. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second game of the Mista versus MarineLorD. Spawning in on the west side of the map, which is the best side of the map, I'll have you know, Viper. It is MarineLorD.
Oh, is it?
It is, yeah. The west side is the best side.
Just because it rhymes, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yes. On the east side of the map, though, we've got the Mista playing in the color red. You can see he's doing a double scout opening. No real surprises here. Are you expecting to see professional scouts out today?
Professional scouts is very normal with the French because you get the technology cheaper, you get the milk cheaper, so it all kind of just lines up and gets... It's convenient to do with the French compared to other civs, besides maybe Rus. But what I'm interested in seeing here is how differently they will approach it, right? Normally in the French back in Genesis times, we saw both players go for 1, 2, 3 stables and just mass the hell out of knights. However, people are trying so many more mind games now and trying to counter and blind counter their opponents. Maybe we'll just see a 2TC opening from both. Maybe one goes like 2TC and just spearman defense, while the other one goes fast castle. There's so many things they can opt for, and I'm very interested to see and hopefully learn how they approach it.
Yeah, I think that's an important part, learning, because obviously these guys are pretty damn good at the moment, and it's not going to just be you learning, it'll be me learning, it'll be all of chat learning. I know those guys love to breathe out of their mouth.
Twitch chat knows everything.
Oh, my mistake. But I want to know, coming from your perspective, do you think there's the possibility we might see a fast Imperial out of here?
Fast Imperial sounds very unlikely. It depends. What is fast?
Before 16 minutes.
Very unlikely.
Okay.
Was that a serious question?
Yeah, of course.
Oh. Maybe if they both just go 4TZ boom into Imperial Age, sure, we might see it happen. But I would not expect that. But interesting thing here, we already have one major difference, and that is the double scout opening from the Mista, as you pointed out, and single scout from MarineLorD. So Mista should pick up a lot more sheep, in theory, with some luck, while MarineLorD will have a very slight eco advantage.
Okay, interesting. So that might foreshadow that Mista does go for those professional scouts, whereas his opponent might not do that. But I guess the other alternative we mentioned, what have you spotted?
Already how like the investment of villagers on the landmark for Mista was very low. He only had 2 villas initially. He added a 3rd now. I'm not sure. I think MarineLorD had 3 or 4 right off the bat. So MarineLorD will be up a little bit faster. And you can see already the gather point of Mista is towards his own gold. So it looks to me like Mista is planning to... Oh, he just changed it. He debated me. But I feel like Mista
But he was dropping the mill. Did you see that? He's debating everyone. He is mind-gaming himself. He's mind-gaming the viewers right now. It's wild. Wheelbarrow coming out from MarineLorD. Now, one of the other landmarks I wanted to talk to you about, because obviously I mentioned Fast Imperial a little bit earlier. I saw some Keck W's in the chat. I'm not surprised. Will we potentially see a Royal Institute today?
Ooh, I think in this matchup you could actually make a big case for it, because if you get initiative and control in early castle age with the Royal Institute, you can get, what is it, 35% extra HP with the Royal Bloodlines?
Correct.
And then you translate that into control of the middle, control the sacred site, and just win the game before the guild hall even pays off.
Yeah.
That could be definitely a play here either of these players go for.
All right, well, we'll have to wait. We'll have to see how these guys go for it, but no stone mining at this point in time, so it looks like one base play is going to be the way that these guys do unfold at this stage. But keep in mind, a bit of a deviation already we're seeing from MarineLorD. He's going for that wheelbarrow, whereas Mista is just going for that second scout. We've got the first or second age now beginning for MarineLorD. We'll take a look and see exactly what he does. He's got plenty of resources in the bank, so if he wants to, he's going to be able to go down that route for professional scouts. But keep in mind, no second scout means it's a little bit harder to do that.
Yeah, we can see MarineLorD invested gold into wheelbarrow, so professional scouts for him is very unlikely. However, Mista is banking up that gold. He's up to 270 already, and that could be professional scouts. You see the timing as well. I mean, it's cheaper for the French anyway. He does go for the Royal Knight? Are they called Royal Knights in Feudal Age?
Yeah, Royal Knights.
Okay, yeah. Royal Knights, yeah.
They are regal knights.
Yeah, wheelbarrow coming in now. Interesting timing. He
Bit
could
of
have
a
done
late
that.
wheelbarrow, hey?
Yeah, but that's because he baited us with the mill earlier. It should have been up.
Yeah, this is what I find interesting, because... Oh,
Trap Scout.
He got that. Oh, that's really stuck. There's no way he's getting out of there, is he?
I've had a situation where I had trapped one. I didn't change anything, but somehow I was able to escape after it. So I feel like there is the odd situation where it actually happens. But what's nice about this situation for Mista is he already kind of took half HP of 1 or 2 villages in that gold mine. So if a Royal Knight comes in a minute, that's 2 easy kills.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Now, one of the things that happens in these French mirrors is a player ages up before the other. They've got a knight across the field. How do you look to play that out? Do you look to go and do damage in your enemy's base, or do you look to try and defend against your enemy's knight in your own base?
I think the guy that advances first is always the guy that moves out across the map first. We can see MarineLorD, he was up a couple, like 30 seconds before the Mista, and he is the one with Royal Knight across the map. And it's already kind of paying off, because he's forcing 8-9 villagers here to be idle. And that's actually a lot of lost mining time, especially when you want to have that gold for the night production.
Yeah, interestingly, we saw 4 villagers come off the gold mine, 5 villagers go out to the gold mine. Not sure exactly what that was about. We might potentially see an outpost getting thrown down on that gold. Makes a lot of sense considering how far it is away from that town center.
Mista is actually putting a lot of villagers on that gold mine. It feels to me like he wants to add stables and go for that mass night play. I don't see why you would have 9... Well, I think it was 9 or 10 villagers on gold already. Yeah, that's insane big amount of villagers on gold. So the only thing I see is that translating into mass night play, and there we go, second stable.
Second stable coming down, and keep in mind he's going up against his enemy right now, who's going for that barracks and also going for professional scouts. We saw our observer Vodka did hover over professional scouts on the mill for MarineLorD a little bit earlier, so he's going to be looking to pick this up. And kind of interesting considering that he only opened with 1 scout. So typically you'd see players go for that second scout nice and early, help out with the sheep gathering, the information gathering, and then look to transition that into professional scouts.
Oh, I thought we had a bug again that Beastyqt had the other day, but he actually just hasn't finished professional scouts. Now he has, and he's going to bring those deer nice and safe back to the base. I don't think he knows about the second stable yet, and I don't think he saw the amount of villages Mista put on gold, so he might not know exactly what's coming, but he has already done the hardened spearman, so he already is kind of prepared for potential aggression. He is spreading those spears around. However, the spears cannot be everywhere at once. He has to separate them. He has to have 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there to protect all the possible angles of his base, while Mista can bring all his knights together and have an attack with, for example, 10 knights, in which case you actually take the fight against 3 or 4 spearmen.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and something that I guess this is part of the reason why people argue, 2 stables versus 1 stable, 1 barrack. So I think this is going to be a great test case right here, because we've got 2 players that are quite literally the top-notch players, but it looks like a barracks is going to get added in. Obviously, Mista spotting out the spears of his enemy here and says, I probably need to add in a few spears myself, not opting to go for the archers on the counter. But yeah, this is a curious development at this point.
I'm very curious what the barracks' intention is for Mista. He knows about the spearmen of MarineLorD, so he knows that MarineLorD is playing fairly passively right now. So my theory would be that the pikes are either to just have the option to defend himself against potential counterattacks, or long-term he's planning to send those pikes forward, build ramps, and make a big push.
Yeah, well, we do see he's now training spears from his barracks, also getting chivalry in as well as another knight. So he's looking to commit to age 2 at the moment, but MarineLorD starting to stack up those resources. Is there a potential castle play coming in?
It definitely looks like it. Once you get those villages on the deer that is brought to the town center, your eco just kind of takes off. And if Mista is actually planning to go for the extreme aggression that we might think, his timing is starting to run out.
Yeah, it could be quite difficult. Now, I suspect he's probably going to be dropping down that blacksmith shortly. Might even potentially be looking at a oh gosh, I've gone blank, a ram potentially to come out. But look at this cleanup. This is something that you were talking about earlier, the fact that spears can't be everywhere. You've got a huge number of knights out for Mista, but the spears, they need to be in multiple places to defend from the knight raids.
Exactly, and Mista now using the mobility of the knights. And we see the first spear coming forward. Again, aggressive spears is not something you see very often unless they're there to protect your archers or if they're there to build rams. And as we see MarineLorD going for a counterattack here, that also leaves him more exposed at home. Now he does have the spearman and he will be advancing to Castle Age potentially. Actually, he's starting to spend resources, so Castle Age will be delayed for him as well. Mista doing a tower defensively, so he also is a little bit cautious with the counterattack. And we're just entering a very interesting mid-game.
Yeah, we can see how far away this gold mine is towards that position. We'll head back over to that gold mine and see if we've got any damage on it. Looks like the Knight's going to be running in. You see the first villager does go down. Second villager, not going to be room for them inside that outpost, and does go down. 5 of those villagers being safe. 2 of them taken out. So nice little trade, and we've got ourselves some forward villagers here. Are they heading to a berry bush? What are they doing?
That is a very interesting move. Like, initially, when I see these types of things, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he's going to wall him in, because just shut down the angle completely so he can kind of control the game. But it seems like a very odd timing to do it. He did lose 2 vills on gold, and I'm looking at the resource here. I think even both players are planning to go to Castle Age, but it actually is a proxy barracks.
I like this. This is pretty smart. Now, he's shown the 1 barracks, so he knows that there could be a few spears out, but what he doesn't know is there could be a few hundred spears coming out, and that's what this proxy barracks is going to be doing. So highly likely that we're going to be seeing maybe even a second or a third proxy barracks down here.
Interesting. He brought all his knights back as well to defend against the raid, so he's thinking about...
He's going castle. Look at this resources. He's going to do a man-at-arm timing. This is big, Viper. This could be it.
Are you not listening to me? That's what I said.
Did you? Oh my God! I'm in my own little world. I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God! He's going Castle Age.
Oh, we have double stable dropped now from MarineLorD, so he's gonna commit fully onto the mass Royal Knight production. Look at Marine's resources. He has 1,700 food, just now getting the gold. So his Castle Age could have actually been quite a lot earlier. But Mista, I think this is a spearman push. I don't think it's man-at-arms. I think it's spearman with rams.
So you think he's going to do a spear ram push?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's no sign of archery range, right? There's no reason to add an archery range for either player at the moment. So spearman and rams, it could actually be incredibly... It could be deadly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Guildhall coming up towards the front of the base. So unfortunately for MarineLorD, if rams do come in, that's going to be the first target. And that's a very big target. We see now those knights heading towards the berry patch. They're going to be able to clean up or tap away at a couple of villages here. The knights are coming back. He's got to be careful not to drive these down towards his proxy barracks. If he does that, it's going to be in a difficult spot because he will expose his strategy.
Indeed. He has a total of 5 barracks now, which is... This is not all in play from Mista. And... we're probably in a situation where if this doesn't work, he's probably going to tap out. So the next couple of minutes will be incredibly crucial for both players. Mista has done a really good job of defending the raids. It's only been 3 knights, I'll give you that, but still, the reaction, like 3 knights can kill so many villagers that you have to be so on point to defend against a player like MarineLorD with 3 knights.
And now we see the castle edge being reached here for MarineLorD. He's looking to wall up on that north side as well, prevent a few of those raids potentially from coming in, and a blacksmith is going down in this proxy.
Indeed, and we see the upgrades as well. Elite, Royal Knight. No, not Elite. Oh, it's Elite, yeah. Veteran is an Imperial Age. So Elite Royal Knights and the extra charge attack, I believe it is.
Yes, cantled saddles.
Exactly,
coming through.
I knew that.
Yes.
And yeah, so again, he's just fully committed onto the big Royal Knight play, and he's still probably mixing in some spears because he's doing the Spearman upgrade as well.
We now see some men-at-arms beginning to come out down towards the south here. We see 3 men-at-arms in queue. An interesting decision considering his enemy's composition is just largely cavalry at this point in time. With regard to his landmark, we'll take a look over at Mista's base and see which way he went. It does look like it was a guild hall as well. He's going to be keeping that on food. We'll check in with MarineLorD and we'll see exactly what he's going for. Sometimes you see players go for gold, and it looks like it's going to be gold today for him. And already a monastery getting dropped down, now beginning to move out down towards this position.
Oh, this is 5 dead villages for Mista here. There's it should be 5 dead villagers at least because they're completely unprotected, and there is a Royal Knight hammering down, and Mista now finally making some moves towards the base as we watch the POV of MarineLorD here.
And take a look at MarineLorD right now. He cannot see those units on his base, and now that's going to come on his mini-map. He's yet to be under attack. It should click for him. We can now see that those units moving into the base. MarineLorD getting a little bit concerned, those men-at-arms. He wasn't anticipating that. At the same time, chasing away the villagers of his enemy. He cleans up the villagers down towards the south as well. A huge amount of villagers running in. They're going to be able to make it safely inside the town center, and now we really see what appears to be a bit of a base trade, Viper.
Definitely is. A lot of villagers going down here, and we saw the... Oh, we have double cam on DeMusliM, but we saw MarineLorD's pulse apparently being down in the 30s and 40s, which...
He's pretty cool.
He's pretty calm as a cucumber when you're being raided and losing vills left and right. You have that type of pulse, and actually going for the town center. Really? Is Mista actually taking the town center?
It looks like he wants to. We'll have to see in what he actually does. You can see the villagers moving around here in this position. A relic has been picked up for him, so it really comes down to the defense. But at this point in time, there's no battering ram. Why is he sieging down the town center?
I mean, it is man-at-arms, and he does have 1 armor upgrade, so he's not taking that much fire. But, I mean, he's already 10 vills behind. 5 vills now. You know what? I thought initially this would be way better for MarineLorD, but I'm starting to think maybe Mista, because he's hiding some vills very cleverly towards the north. He might actually come out of this ahead.
Yeah, he's not doing a terrible job. And now we actually see the villagers moving out. As that
Landmark snipe.
Is that... No way, he's not going for a landmark snipe.
It's Mista. He always does that.
Is that guild hall on stone or is it on gold? Let's take a look. We'll quickly check his guild hall. It's on food. What is he doing? He's bringing out 20 villagers? They managed to get picked up here in the middle of the map by MarineLorD. MarineLorD's going to be very happy with this, but I guess he's got all of his army over here. Mista, what are you doing, my friend?
He's going for a landmark snipe. I think Mista feels like he took the worst trade in the base trade, and now he's just going for it.
He's actually committing to a landmark snipe. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 15 minutes through this game, and Mista said, you know what, it's 15 minutes too long for me. We're going to go with the landmark snipe. Villagers, I mean, we might have to contact the devs after this game and say, hey, you guys got to nerf the siege of these villagers. They're too damn strong.
To be fair, Mista's gotten away with so many landmark snipes in this tournament. He might as well go for another one. I can't see how this is going to work, but it is a fun try nonetheless.
Yeah, we can actually see insufficient wood coming out for MarineLorD. He's only got 9 wood a minute at the moment, 1 wood in the bank. Beautiful screen running in here as well. The men-at-arms going to be looking to try and make ends meet. Doing a little bit of a shuffle. I've seen Hera do those shuffles before. It never really works out. And now those men-at-arms going to be turning around, attacking the Royal Knights. Royal Knights cleaning up completely. I think this might be a good game.
Villagers are coming.
I don't know about you, but yeah, it looks like it might be a good game. Mista puts his head in his hands. He says, you know what, maybe it wasn't the right play.
That was a very interesting approach from both players. I think the proxy for barracks, maybe he anticipated a second TC or something from MarineLorD, where he would have a faster cast stage timing. I'm not 100% sure. It was an interesting try for sure, but in the end, when you're putting all your buildings forward, you don't have enough buildings to produce army to defend at home.
Yeah.
And on a map where mobility is so important against the French, and they have Royal Knights, that's probably going to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, curious to me that he didn't go for those spears. I think spears really could have made a massive difference there. And you called that out. You said early, you know, this could be a big spear push. We could see rams. And I think if we had, it could have been a completely different game. Because the spears destroy the knights, and I think in that position, MarineLorD realized only when the units were in his base that this is what was happening.
He had no idea about the proxy, and I think that if Mista scouted the double stable edition of MarineLorD, he would have made full spears.
Definitely.
But since he didn't know about the double stable, I assume, we didn't see it, but I don't think he scouted it at any point. I think it would have been spearmen only, and then that could have been potentially game ending.
Because keep in mind, the spearmen are cheaper as well than the men-at-arms, yet do the same amount of torch damage. So it means that you're getting double the bang for your buck. But now we see players are looking to take positions for the third game. It's going to be Lipany. I'm expecting that coming out on this map that we're probably going to be seeing an Abbasid mirror, but by the same token, players knowing that Abbasid likely to come out on this map, do we potentially see a different civilization come out here? Maybe the Chinese?
I would not be surprised to see MarineLorD pick Abbasid and Mista pick Mongols.
Big B-Dot coming in hard right now. 100 Tier 1 subs gifted to the community. Big shout out to B-Dot. Thank you very much, helping out the channel. Very much appreciated. I can see Nilly over on the sidelines just throwing up his hands right now. Very happy, very thankful to all that. So there he is. Look at that face. But big shout out to B-Dot. Thank you very much. But so your expectation coming into this, maybe 1 Abbasid potentially, maybe 2?
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh.
I was actually expecting a Mongols here because Mista is on the journey to prove that Mongols are good against Abbasid. So I was expecting maybe that would be his civ of choice. But yeah, we have a Abbasid against HRE on Lipany. And I don't think we've seen that matchup at all this tournament. Maybe once.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the first time. I remember seeing it back in Genesis. Those were the days, I think. Actually, no. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, HRE wasn't even a thing back then, was it?
They were...
Maybe on Hill and Dale?
We were sleeping on HRE back in the past.
Yeah.
We did not know about the relic power that they had. Well, we knew they were strong, but we felt like they were always too weak early on, that you couldn't be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Abbasid is potentially a good matchup for HRE because they kind of play similarly. So if HRE is able to get 2 or 3 relics, it's not like you have a big mismatch in which type of units you go for. Because HRE wants to get those infantry units or the big Lancer play. And usually we see Abbasid go for that barracks range play as well. Which means if you can make a lot of Landsknecht, maybe some arms, you can actually deal with that type of composition. Unless there's a lot of siege on the field.
That is the name of the game, Age of Siege 4. Wait, no, this is Age of Empires 4, but sometimes I get confused with the amount of Siege that we do have. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to how this game is going to unfold, but definitely an accurate prediction. I suspect that the Abbasid player probably going to look to have a little bit more control in H2, realizing that I can't let my enemy get to those 3 relics. If I do, I'm in trouble.
That's the thing. Whenever you're playing against HRE, you might enter the game thinking you have a game plan, but when you see HRE on the other side of the map, you have to change that completely because you cannot allow them to get. They can maybe get one, but if once they get the second one, and then maybe the third one, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, yeah. I think there was a game where there was 5 relics that went over to somebody and they still managed. No, it was.
You're correct.
Yes, yes.
That was even with Delhi.
How sad that was.
Very sad.
Yes. But speaking of sad, well, actually, I'm not sagging. I'm actually pogging right now. Speaking of pogs, MarineLorD Mista, they're heading into game number 3. Viper, who's your prediction for this game in particular?
Oof. I think first I would have to have a quick look at the map here because relic position tends to have a bit of a say when it comes to HRE games. I think it's a fairly close matchup. I would probably still favor Abbasid, but it all depends on how the early game goes for HRE, if they can get a good scout and good positioning with the relics, and then somehow survive the opening, use that eco bonus you get from the prelate, and then translate that into fast castle and picking up those relics.
All right, well, we'll take a look and see how it unfolds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 between MarineLorD and TheMista. Spawning in over on the west side of the map, we've got MarineLorD playing the Holy Roman Empire. Over on the opposite side of the map, playing the Abbasid dynasty, we have got TheMista. Now, keep in mind, he's going to be playing in the red trunks there. He's got an idle scout at the moment. He'll wake up eventually. There we go. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this map unfolds. We'll remove the fog of war so you guys can see where those relics are. And look at those spawns. I don't think you could ask for a better spawn when it comes to that because they were all on the edges of the map.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of AoE 2 games, I think, where the relic spawn is usually very fair. And in this case, I don't think it can be much more fair than this. You have 3 relics along the edge of the map to the bottom side or southwest and 2 relics to the northeast. So they are definitely up for grabs for either player. And we see the difference so far is that MarineLorD has gone for... Oh no, I thought it was double scout, but it's actually the prelate, because the prelate counts as military. So it's single scout for both players. I mean, HRE definitely benefits from getting a lot of sheep, because you can eat them with the prelate buff. Abbasid, however, don't really need a second scout in this matchup, because you tend to just use the berries to get your economy going.
Looks like he's going to be dropping his Archon Chapel down now. Pretty decent spot right here. He gets the town center, he gets the wood line, he gets the gold mine. What do you rate this one out of 10?
It's a solid 8 out of 10. If you could have deer and berries in the same, then it's probably a solid 10 out of 10.
I like it. I like it.
But in this case, you can still farm around TC. You can all your sheep you can eat with the prelate inspiration. Holy Inspiration?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
We'll go with that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't play much HRE, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very nice one. The only issue with this Aachen Chapel is, I know a little bit of German. Landsknecht.
Das ist mein Aachen Chapel.
Exactly. It's forward. So if he loses map control and there is a tower, maybe some range units towards the front, or in Castle Age, when those Abbasid infantry or range units makes those siege weapons on the front, the chapel might be the first thing that is targeted.
Okay. Well, looking at the food distribution as well, Mista's going to be pretty happy. He's got double deer down towards the south side of his town center. At the same time, on the north side, he's got 4 different berry spawns that have come in. He's going to be really happy with this.
Yeah, this is a beautiful map spawn for Abbasid. Those berries, when you put that mill on the berries, you just feel like you have food for the next 20 minutes, essentially. And it just comes in so fast as well. We see Mista already going on stone, so he's actually feeling comfortable just going for... This could be mind games. It could be outposts with arrow slits. But more often than not, it is town center. But we see a stable here, so you know what? This could be a bait where he just shows that he's on stone and then ends up going for aggressive play with horsemen, maybe camel archers, and then towers. We'll see.
That's a really good point, because a lot of players, they'll look at that stone, they'll check, okay, is there a mining camp? Yep. Okay, are there villages on it? Yep. They'll click the stone and they'll say, okay, there's been 20 taken off it. He's a bit late to get his town center. But the thought never really crosses your mind, well, maybe he's faking me out. And when it comes to mind games, this guy, TheMista, he is known for it. And I really wouldn't be surprised if you're right. If we potentially see maybe an outpost push, who knows?
There's also the approach where you try to put towers around the map on the relics and maybe get arrows at towers on the relics. The thing is, against HRE, you feel like you cannot leave them alone because you cannot allow them to just get the relics for free.
Yep.
As we see, MarineLorD actually looks like he's going to be playing Feudal Age. He has put villages back onto gold, so he's definitely thinking about the Castle Age, but the stable could be just in case.
Yeah, we can see double stable coming up for him. Mista's going to be scouting this out now, so he knows what he's up against. We can look to see Mista, whether he's got a reaction. Obviously, already opens up the stable, but could potentially drop down that barracks as well. But at this point in the game, Mista's definitely quite content with getting that second town center. Now, I guess my question for you, Viper, is let's say you're playing up against a Holy Roman Empire player. You resign yourself to letting them get the 3 relics. You resign yourself to letting them get that Imperial and that Villager Printer, the Palace of Swabia. Is there any world where you're happy to try and go up against them with 3 TC Abbasid?
I don't think so. I think Mista, first of all, he has probably mismanaged his build a little bit here. He's almost up to 5 in the wood before even having the stone for a town center. But he's got a few horsemen out on the map. I think he wants to look for those relics. But to your point, I think the timing for Abbasid is the 2 TC play, followed by a fairly fast Castle Age, and then you just may go triple barracks, triple range, and just go for the kill.
Yeah.
Because you still might have that small timing window where the units haven't really started coming out for HRE, and that might be your time window to actually kill the HRE player. But personally, I don't know if I would feel comfortable just going for the second TC against HRE.
It can be a really difficult position because obviously against the Holy Roman Empire, it's just very, very risky. And we see that MarineLorD already up to that second, or already up to that third age rather, dropping down this Regnitz Cathedral at 6 minutes 45. It's a pretty decent timing.
That's a very good timing. He has definitely set up his eco perfectly for this. Pulled all the villages off of wood now, and he has plenty of houses as well. So this is going to be probably every resource goes to gold, goes to food, and he's going to start spamming those knights.
All right, well, we'll take a look and see how he manages to deal with it. You can see that he's got no villages or no prelates in production at this point in time. He's got 200 gold in the bank, so if he wants to, he's going to be able to get those extra prelates out on the field. But I'd be curious to know how many prelates he's got in his possession currently. Obviously, 1 in the chapel. There's the first, or the second prelate looking to come out now. So probably going to need to have a few more prelates out to collect those relics, but we already see the horsemen from Mista positioning outside the base.
Yeah, this is the point where I would ask our kind observer to maybe check their vision to see how many of the relics either player sees. So we know if MarineLorD, does he see 3 relics? He sees 1. Oh, he only sees 2 relics.
He might see that third one. Can we take a look up towards it? I'm pretty confident he sees that relic outside of his own base as well. Just that sometimes we do get a bit of a bug with the observer view. You can see that Mista's actually got units out camped on there just in anticipation, but it looks like an age up going to be coming through at 8 minutes here. So yeah, we can see that he has uncovered that relic just out to the west as well, and that one down to the south. So he's going to have plenty of options here, whether he goes for them or not. It'll be a different matter, but we've got raids all over the place. We've got a prelate now out on the gold mine as well. I suspect MarineLorD's probably going to look to establish control before coming out and grabbing these relics.
Yeah, he's making knights now, and considering that Mista only has horsemen on the field, he doesn't really have anything that can deal with knights. So MarineLorD could choose to do two things there. Essentially, he could try to go for some counterattacks, try to raid the economy. He knows that Mista is going to be out and about, taking those berries because of the way this matchup plays out. Or he could use the knights to kind of guard the prelates as they walk and try to pick up the relics. He also did a nice thing on the top right where he walled off the whole section to the top where he will have safe berries, and he's got 1 relic in the corner there. But one scout will notice this, but the question is, will he have units around to actually deny that relic pickup?
It definitely looks like he will, because these horsemen are on the way. This is going to be the first relic of the game that gets picked up here by MarineLorD, and you can see he's responding now. But keep in mind, Mista just wants to try and pick off that individual prelate. That's all he cares about. He's not too fussed about those units there, and we can see that there are multiple knights now coming out. He's going to be heading in. We'll watch for that Wallaloo. It does come down. Going to be keeping those units out on the edge. He's going to be looking to come in and take out that prelate as well. We'll head back towards that position now. And you can see he's going to be able to throw it in a little bit further. He is going to be trying to clean up this prelate, but keep in mind, he's lofted that relic a little bit closer and actually keeps it alive. So very well played there from MarineLorD.
Oh, it's the pincer.
He gets it.
He gets it. Yeah.
Good try. Good try.
Yeah. It's a fairly 1 relic already before 10 minutes. Very solid start for MarineLorD. And again, it's the point where Mista has nothing that can actually deal with the Lancers. And he's still committing fully to Feudal Age. He's making mass horsemen. He's adding some camouflages into the mix. And now he's dropping barracks as well. And he has a 9-village lead, but once MarineLorD gets the second relic and then a third, I'd way rather have 3 relics.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather have 3 relics as well. So I'm curious to see whether MarineLorD or whether, sorry, Mista is going to find any new way to play this, but definitely looking like he was committing to camels and horsemen. And now we see double prelates coming out down towards his southern position. Keep in mind, all the units for Mista are on the north side of the base right now.
Yeah, Mista, he ran past it, but I'm pretty sure he did not spot that on the map. So those 2 prelates might actually pick up the 2 bottom relics uncontested, besides the bite the infantry.
Yeah,
but even
don't
then,
count out that wolf.
The prelates are fairly fast, so they might make it all the way down there, pick up the relic, and then get all the way back.
Yeah, we can see Mista having a little bit of trouble in this position. Now, keep in mind, he's got the second town center, but as you mentioned, not a huge villager lead coming out just yet. He's up about 12 villagers. Now, each one of these relics, it works out to be 7.5 villagers on gold, but obviously there's a caveat there, and that is that, well, they don't really go idle. You never actually harvest the gold from the gold mine, so you've always got them for the remainder of the game. Incredibly difficult to deal with.
And we see the counterattack as well now. He decided to use some Lancers to defend the relics and some Lancers to go for the kills on the villagers on Mista's side. And when the villager count now is only 10 apart, and keep in mind MarineLorD also has most of his economy inspired by those prelates, it is probably quite heavily in favor of MarineLorD right now.
Do you think we're going to be seeing a GG called shortly?
I'm not sure about shorter, but those knights are getting so much damage done there on the woodline. They're killing Vil still. Even though he invested to double barrack spearman production, the knights are still getting insane value. And this is not where you want to be as an Abbasid player on 2TC. As it looks like Mista was typing something. And indeed.
I think it was a GG.
I think you're right about that. This was, in my opinion, a very strange approach from Mista. We haven't seen this matchup very often, so I don't think we necessarily have like the meta set for how to deal with Agery as an Abbasid player. But full horseman against a civ that kind of wants to go Lancers anyway felt a bit strange.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. It definitely did seem strange. I think coming into the matchup, it's probably a bit difficult. I think we might need to brainstorm this one a little bit with the Brains Trust, but yeah, I'm curious about what exactly you could have done in that situation. Obviously, I mean, my natural thought is to be like, well, let's just go for 3 TCs and just boom like crazy, and we'll meet them in the late game, and hopefully by then, you know, we'll have walls, we'll have castles, and it won't matter. But yeah, I mean, that was a really difficult spot for Mista. He tried his best to keep his head in the game, but unfortunately, 2 TCs wasn't enough, and yeah, the cavalry just didn't work for him.
Yeah, in hindsight, I still think the best approach there for him would have probably been the 2 TC into the like 9-minute castle age, then just get the 3 barracks, 3 range, mass units, get siege built on the field, and just try to go for like 1 big kill.
Yep.
And if you fail the push, sure, you're probably dead, but even then you probably still have a village elite, so you could probably fall back and try to stay in the game. It's difficult nonetheless, but full horseman does not seem to be the play.
Well, there you guys have it. If you're playing against the Abbasid, or rather playing against the Holy Roman Empire as the Abbasid and looking to try and find a counter, you've heard it here first. Horseman, not the play.
Said the bottom-placed player of this tournament.
Can I get some keck dubs?
Can we get some Sag?
All right, well, we're going to be heading into game number 4 very, very shortly. We'll take a look now because it's going to be Highview, the only map that remains here for Mista. Now, Mista's got to win this one if he wants to remain in this series. Obviously, MarineLorD currently sitting up 2-1. Highview, it's a map that's quite good for both Rus and Mongols. So do you think we're going to see either of those civs out for Mista here?
I have a suspicious feeling that... Okay, last map is Altai. I'm expecting Chinese there from MarineLorD. I think he liked the way they play out there, especially showed that yesterday as well against VortiX. And I think Mista really likes Mongols on Highview. So maybe they both are using, you know, these mind games again. Maybe we see...
Abbasid.
Oh, it's Abbasid.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be Abbasid because he was going to pick Mongols, and Abbasid always beat Mongols. It's just... It's such a smart move, but see, Mista should have known this, so he should have gone Rus, but then Rus and yeah, it just wouldn't work.
But you know, Mista is a firm believer in Mongols over Abbasid still.
He is, yes,
he
mentioned
on a
this.
journey
yeah.
to prove that Mongols can still beat Abbasid.
It just reminds me of high school. It's like trying to make fetch happen. It's just like, you know, stop trying to make Mongols happen, Mista. It's not going to happen. But, I mean, he's got a very tough task ahead of him. He's up against what many consider to be the most solid Age of Empires 4 player in the world currently. heading into this tournament as the favourite, MarineLorD. He's going to be playing on the Abbasid Dynasty, a civilization which at the start of this tournament, people would have looked at it and said, yeah. But now they're looking at it and they're going, well, it depends which tier list you watch, Mr. Viper.
True.
If you watch my videos, you would have been like, oh, that Drongo guy, he said they're a bit meh.
Oh, really? Where did you have them in your tier list?
I'd have to double check, but I definitely don't think it was S tier.
Okay. I think the reason Abbasid seems so strong as well now is because they've won so many games against Mongols. They do very well against French as well in particular. But they're not necessarily that strong against all the other civs. Like Rus, yeah, probably sure. But English, Chinese, HRE probably has quite a lot to say in the matchup.
Well, speaking of matchups, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th game of this evening. We've got quite a matchup for you guys today. It's going to be MarineLorD on the Abbasid, who spawns in the north of the map playing on the color blue, and his opponent in the south of the map playing on the color red, TheMista, who's going to be playing as the Mongols. We'll take a look at their spawns. We'll see exactly what it's looking like, but so far you can already see that MarineLorD doing a fair bit of scouting up towards this northern position. Just going to be opening us up with a single scout. Already finding plenty of sheep here, Viper. Take a look at this.
Oh, that's the best feeling right there. When you're starting the game, you're running around and then just instantly run into like 6 sheep.
Yeah, definitely feels good. But now on the other side of the map, it looks like Mista has a relatively good spawn. Keep in mind we're on high view, so it's quite hard to see through these forests, but he's got his town center right next to his Uvu. He's going to be loving this. He is a big fan of the pastures, nice and close to that town center, and obviously on the Uvu here, yeah, look at this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see even 3 or 4 pastures out of this guy.
I think in Dark Age we're guaranteed to see 2, but then again, question we have right now is how do you actually play this matchup as Mongols?
This is a really good point because Mista is a fan of the Silver Tree. We've seen it multiple times today. You can see from his perspective right now, he's spotted out already that market down in the south of the map. And I mean,
you could even see just now, he even went down there to have another look at how it was looking down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a big chance
you reckon he's thinking about it?
I would not be surprised. There's a big chance we see him go for that because that was his. He had like thought about it a lot. He said he had a secret way of maybe dealing with the Mongols, with the Abbasid, and that was the silver trade. It was the mass trade. And I spoke a bit with him today as well. He was still trying to work out what unit composition to go for, how exactly to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I still think it's very likely that we'll see the silver tree. Because, I mean, MarineLorD will go for the double TC, very likely, right?
For those of you that can't see, and that's all of you, Viper's got this smirk on his face right now. He's confident in this build order that's going to be coming out today from TheMista. So I don't know about you guys, but
he will do it. I'm not confident in the build itself.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what he pulls out as well. We've got the economic wing already coming up here for MarineLorD. His heartbeat has returned to a safe and steady 82 beats per minute.
Double than the previous time we saw.
Yes, thank you very much, Garmin. Big shout out to our official sponsors of the tournament, Garmin, for all your watching needs. But we'll take a look as we watch the perspective now of our observer, and I suspect we might have a villager coming out to drop a market down in the opposite corner of the map. What do you reckon?
That is how we approached it yesterday when we saw him try this. But we were talking about it and we were thinking maybe going for that far distance right off the bat is too greedy. There is a chance that maybe trying to do a smaller distance trade initially and then extending it as you get more map control and you feel safer. Because you can always move your market, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to do it that way, because obviously there's going to be that huge distance that you've got to cover. It's going to take some time for you to get those resources in as well, whereas it's going to be a bit more of a steady stream the smaller it is. So we'll have to look and see how he plays it out, but already you can see that MarineLorD here, very intent on scouting out what TheMista's going for. He's got enough resources in the bank shortly to drop down that landmark, so we'll have to pay attention.
Exactly. The longer distance is for the silver tree, the harder it is to defend, because you just have so much more room to cover. And when you go for the silver tree, you don't get the YAM network, which increases the speed of all your infantry, all your archers. But, I mean, the silver tree, as we see, silver tree is coming up. But that also gives, still, when you make the outpost, you still get that YAM network for your traders and your cavalry. So you still have mobility, but just not with the units that you might need.
Interestingly, if we take a look at the perspective of TheMista, we can... What is that villager doing? What was that villager doing?
That almost looks like a tower villager.
What are you doing, you naughty villager? You get back in your base right there. You're not playing the Mongols, you're playing the Abbasid, you silly villager. They always get so confused, don't they, Viper?
Yeah, they do.
So, I want to take a look down towards the back of Mista's base. If we have a look along the edge of his map, typically you'd want to have a market on the opposite side, but have a look at the tree lines that he's got over here. He's got 3 tree lines or wood lines preventing him from actually getting a very nice push through there. So it's going to be hard for him to find a good solid route for him through there. So yeah, it could be tough.
There is a red dot on there. This is the first outpost. I think he's just going to go for the short trade initially, as we talked about. He will keep the silver tree on his over so he can do double production for a little bit, and he will just use that small line there from this TC to the market in the bottom corner, and he will trade there until he has probably 12, 14 trade cards maybe, and then he will look to put it further away with some more outposts.
Makes a lot of sense. And once again, we see another villager coming out around the edge of the map. Look at this little villager just standing idly by. He did actually meet a wolf a little bit earlier, a little bit of a rendezvous down towards the wood line. We've all been there. We've all had that rendezvous with a wolf in the wood lines. But unfortunately, just sitting there idly for the moment. It looks like Arrow Slit's going to be coming through on this outpost as well. So looking to defend it, and a great outpost. If we head into Mista's position, or Mista's perspective rather, we're going to be seeing the line of sight that is shown from that outpost. Keep in mind, it can see through those stealth forests, so really get a lot of line of sight down here.
Wait, he knows the market is there, right? Because I don't see it on the
map. Yeah, no, he does.
Okay,
yeah.
It's just a visual bug. Okay.
Yes. As a person who casts a lot of games, the minimap is very, very bugged. But
sense.
We do see that second town center now coming up for MarineLorD, still sitting quite heavily on stone. Or I say that, he's got no villages on stone, but 100 in the bank.
I think that stone is probably, maybe he's looking to make his own outpost and get some arrow slits on that. Because now he's going to scout, he's going to see the trade cards, or trade... What are they called in AW4?
They are called traders.
Yeah,
yes.
He's going to see the traders for the first time now, so now he knows finally what he's up against. The question is just, how does he deal with it now? Because he had, obviously went for a second town center. What we saw, the villager died to the arrow slit outpost of the Mista there, so nicely placed. And suddenly, whatever quest this villager was on is no more.
I think he did a wolf drop. Can we check right now the trade line of Mista? Did he drop a wolf? I think MarineLorD did a little bit of a... Have you seen players doing these wolf drops?
I mean, you can pull them after, and once you get out of range, they're kind of in the enemy's face. But I don't think it's that deadly in this case.
I think the trader might have just gone to the town center. The wolf was killed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But now we start to see the transition coming through. The 2 town centers already down here. And now it looks like MarineLorD going to be going into double stable. Now the Khan's going to spot that out. He knows exactly what is up.
This is perfect for Mista. If there's any time this build is going to work, it might be with... like, Mista has all the information he needs right now to decide how to deal with this. He knows the double stable is there. He saw and confirmed that they also were finished building. So he knows Horseman is what's coming. And if he knows the way MarineLorD has played lately, MarineLorD also loves to add those cam launchers. So
second barracks coming down here.
Exactly. That is probably the correct response. He doesn't want to spend the stone on double production of Spearman. He rather wants to double produce trade cards, so he rather have added more barracks so you can still get those numbers out.
Are we able to check on the traders and just see exactly what value they're bringing back at the moment? It looks like 26 gold, so not too bad.
I mean, you get 2 of wood and 2 of food as well each trip. So, I mean, the thing is, this is just an initial trickle. It still adds up once you have like 15, 20, 30 traders running, right? It's still a solid amount of resources. And for the time being, all he needs is to keep this going and then slowly extend the trade route, and suddenly they're going to be carrying way more than what they're currently carrying.
That's a great point. And now we see these horsemen beginning to attack the trade carts of the Mista. He tries to hold on. You can see those spears coming out, the maneuver arrow coming through and putting out a lot of movement speed on these bad boys. It looks like he's going to be trying to take out that scout. You can see the scout dropping down in health. MarineLorD's got to be careful. He's going to be losing a lot of his line of sight if he's not. And it looks like he is going to be able to take down that scout. We saw it take an arrow to the knee, and unfortunately, it did go down. But now, look at this. More reinforcements coming in, but great coverage of these outposts.
Yeah, so far, he's keeping the trade route safe. I have one thing I might suggest, and that is actually putting the outpost exactly in the trade route. So, in case these traders get low HP, they could actually jump in and garrison in the towers, which a lot of people actually don't realize, but those can actually garrison inside the outpost.
Yeah, that's a really smart move. Is there any easy way to get them in and get them out without them losing what they're doing?
Whenever you target or ask them to do any other task than what they're doing, they lose every resource, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, indeed it does. That gold that you were carrying, you got to leave it outside of the outpost, and there's no possible way you could put it back in.
For sure. Cam Launch is coming out now for MarineLorD. As I said, I think he loves this Horseman Cam Launcher play. We've seen him do it multiple times in many different matchups as well. And that is potentially a problem for Mista, because Cam Launchers, 4 of them one-shots a Spearman. So Mista might suddenly be looking for maybe even a different army composition, because he has not confirmed the Cam Launchers yet.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any Civ that you'd be wanting to make spears, it would be the Mongols, just because they've got that YAM network. Now, obviously, he doesn't have it right now because he didn't go for the Deer Stones. But when he does, he's going to have that as well as his Khan. And the Khan's going to be adding in that movement speed boost. So these guys are going to be just sprinting after the cavalry. Probably going to be able to knock them down a decent peg. But keep in mind, there's also the Stealth Forest. So if he is getting a little bit over in his head, he can jump into the Stealth Forest and keep himself safe. But Khan coming in underneath the town center, donating a sheep.
We saw Mista make a little bit of a face there as well. He was not happy with that loss. And now he has a tower on the right side of his trade route as well, just in case these units come in from the blind side. But I feel like maybe you should have an outpost even further out just to be able to confirm that they are coming in. And now we see the problem. He only has slow Spearmen because he has no YAM network with the Deer Stones. And suddenly, Camel Riders, Horsemen are going to be on top of these traders.
Keep in mind the Khan has recently passed. He will be coming back shortly. He is a little bit of a, I would say a vampire, but vampires are immortal. What are the ones that come back to life, Viper? You should know this.
Why should I know this?
Well, you're from Norway. That's what they do. But
okay.
Unfortunately, speaking of Norway, it looks like these guys are going to be finding no way through because they are unfortunately getting absolutely taken to school by these camel launchers. Look at the micro coming out.
Yeah, great micro by MarineLorD. He's showing that we talked about his micro earlier in this game. He's probably one of the better micro players in the game, and that's probably why he loves his composition as well, right? He can constantly micro back and forth with the Horsemen, with the Cam Launchers behind, and just pick off unit after unit. And Mista did get out some outposts, so he is still able to keep it safe. But if you summarize the eco numbers right now, MarineLorD will have way more villagers, but Mista, with those trade cards, actually have more economic units.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And keep in mind, as you mentioned earlier, those economic units at the moment might represent, say, half or a sixth of a villager with regard to how much they're gathering. But, you know, we move it on to another 10 minutes from now, and that market's in the other corner. Yeah. Those guys are worth 2, 3 villages. So it is, it's one of those things where it's a little bit flexible at the moment. But MarineLorD's starting to build up a decent mass here, looking like he might be going to Castle Age very shortly. Once he hits that Castle Age, what's he going to be looking to do?
At the moment, I don't see a reason for him to not just continue with the upgrade the Horsemen, upgrade the Cam Launchers, and just play this composition. Because as long as Mista only sticks with Spearmen, why should he switch? He also Mista is now adding stables as well, so he wants to go for his own Horsemen. But Camel Archers make the Horsemen deal less damage, so I don't see a reason for MarineLorD to switch into anything else that he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's a really good point. This is a great composition that he's got out here. Now Mista once again, he's got that Khan moving down into position. You can see the outpost coming up here. He's got a fair few spears here, and it looks like we're going to have a movement speed arrow coming out, but there's just no units whatsoever for him. He's going to be heading into the safety of that outpost, but you can see the Camel Archer don't care. They are running through and just doing absolutely plenty of damage to those units.
Yeah, MarineLorD now has the numbers as well, where he feels confident even taking on these arrow-slit outposts. So the safety of Mista's traders is just dropping as soon. Like every tower going down is a big loss here for the Mista, and considering that MarineLorD is also on the way to Castle Age, this looks like an extremely tough hold for Mista.
I love the way that throughout these games, Mista is the one really testing and trying to play up against this, but at the same time, MarineLorD doing a great job of just countering it very effectively. He's got a beautiful composition. I don't think MarineLorD is going to be able to lose this. The Horsemen now coming into the wood lines, or rather into the trade lines. Mista, we're going to be watching him because I don't think he's going to be winning this game. I'm suspecting we might see an esports GG any second coming out of the guy.
If it doesn't GG now, in a couple of seconds, MarineLorD will hit Castle Age, and that might be the tipping point. Because Mista is spending every resource he has in the Feudal Age. He's not going to be anywhere close to Castle Age, and MarineLorD is almost there.
Yeah, but you can see the numbers beginning to dwindle down for MarineLorD. He's on 11 military population compared to the 9 that Mista's got. So who knows? Maybe there is a will, maybe there is a way. We'll have to see how he plays it. Keep in mind, this is match point. If MarineLorD wins this, then he goes through this group stage undefeated. He'll be 5-0. So Mista really looking to try and take this game off him, try and get a couple points for him, and push him up a little bit further with regard to the seeds. But now you see Mista doing the classic esports mouth movement right there. It's not looking pretty.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange throwaway of the units of MarineLorD. Now, given he did kill a lot of the traders, However, he just threw away his whole army that could have had all the upgrades coming in right now. But I think also we can see MarineLorD is making a switch to Lancers. So his idea was probably not to stick with Horsemen anyway, so he wanted to just trade them off while they still could, and now he's going to switch to the powerful unit.
Yeah, that's a great point. So 5 Lancers coming in, knowledge of preservation coming in, or preservation of knowledge rather, coming through. But you can see Mista working towards that castle age not long until he gets up there. But there is a definite window that has been identified by MarineLorD here, and he's looking to put through a lot of damage.
Yeah, now Mista can still hold this, but like if he gets the cast stage and actually gets the YAM network upgrade, which he has to research in the outpost, suddenly those spearmen are very good against his composition. They will catch up to the knights, they will be way more of a threat, and the raiding options for MarineLorD won't be the same. Question is, can Mista prevent taking damage before he's there?
Yeah, it's going to be so hard for him to do that. We can see the outpost, the Kurultai coming up now down towards that position, but the Knights are out on the field. MarineLorD is going to be looking for the kill. Now, if he spots that Kurultai, there's going to be significant pain coming out for Mista, and I suspect he'll probably just tap in GG. If that happens, we see them rounding the corner here towards the tree line. They're going to be looking for this Kurultai. They managed to spot it. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have got some problems because now Mista going to be having to evacuate the dance floor. He is infected by the Lancers. There's plenty of units in here, but it does look like MarineLorD is pushed away, at least for a small amount of time. Kurultai might get up here.
Yes, but under his TC as well, all those villages are idle, and MarineLorD has +2 armor already on his cavalry, so they're not taking any damage from that town center. They can just sit under there and kill vills and keep them idle, and suddenly it will be in a situation where Mista does his food income is from the traders, and he cannot produce units. So this is looking so good for MarineLorD right now.
Yeah, it's really good for him, but now Mista up in the next age. You can see he's got those Lancers coming out. Yet to pick up any relics at this stage, but we see that both players investing heavily in regard to their cavalry. But yeah, interesting that you pointed out that he's already got that +2 range defense coming in, despite going up against pretty much entirely spears. So obviously that helps out a huge amount against those outposts, but realistically, when the real battle starts, which is going to be, I suspect, a lot of melee units, might not be a lot of help.
Yes, I think Mista really needs the YAM network upgrade immediately and probably just go full Spearman. Maybe even start using his stone on double production of Spearman, but we can see he's actually going for Lancers himself. I'm not sure if this will be the right choice because it's going to take so long for him to actually even catch up to being close to the numbers that MarineLorD has.
And now we see those units pushing in underneath the town center of the Mista. He's got a couple of units alive, but not too many. Only 14 population for him. A huge amount of Lancers now coming out as well for Mista, or for MarineLorD rather. He's going to be able to round the corner, and you can see him just taking out these units completely. He doesn't care that they're spears. Khan now going to be coming in a little bit late, putting down this armor arrow, but it seems to be only for the traders that try and stay alive. This might be a good game right here, Viper.
It's looking like it. The numbers are just too big for MarineLorD here. The Khan went down as well, and the traders are falling one by one. And we're seeing the slow and steady decline of the population of the Mista. And I suspect a GG is just around the corner.
Is it possible he takes all of his traders and tries to siege down the enemy town center?
That seems like a Mista move, but to my knowledge, the traders don't have that much damage output, and we can see Mista typing GG. Well
GG indeed. MarineLorD once again winning his set and taking the game by storm. 5-0 in his group stage.
There has to be a big confidence boost going into the knockout stages. He was already guaranteed to make it to the semifinals directly, but still going in there with a 5-0 rather than going in there with your most recent match being a loss just continues that confidence boost. Yeah,
that's exactly it. So he's going to be very happy with this. By the same token, Mista obviously doing very well himself. He'll be heading into those stages feeling pretty good, but we're going to be taking a look at those two players. Now, obviously, we're going to be interviewing here with MarineLorD. He's going to be feeling pretty good about himself after that game. Was there any possible way that that Mista could have won that?
So we saw one big difference in the way Mista did yesterday, right? He did the shorter trade route this time. Next time, maybe we see a medium trade route. He's not going to go for the far one, not the short one, but maybe a little further.
Okay.
And suddenly he gets a little bit of extra trickle of resources. Maybe he gets enough units then to defend. But the main issue I see with this approach always is that when you're Mongols, you're so used to having the YAM network with your spearmen, with your archers, whatnot. When you don't have that, suddenly your military don't feel as efficient as you're used to. And then it gets really hard to defend a very fragile, vulnerable trade route.
That's a really good point. I look forward to seeing how it develops because I suspect that Mista's probably going to continue playing this matchup. he is trying to make Mongols work.
I don't think he's going to try this too many more times this tournament. If there was any time to try this, it was probably this match, because both of them are through no matter what. They're kind of playing for, well, Mista was playing for a little bit higher seed.
Yep.
So he was still afforded the opportunity to try this against a very good player. Question is, do you think we'll see it again in the quarterfinals or knockout stages? I personally don't think so.
If he's ahead 2-0, he'll probably bring it out.
I don't think so.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, MarineLorD is on the casting couch. We're going to be heading right over to him, so don't go anywhere. And keep in mind, once we finish with the interview, you're going to be heading into the 4th set of the day. That is going to be absolutely spicy because we've got Leenock going up against LucifoN, and that is going to be our knockout match of the evening. So let's head over, shall we?
All right.
Hello, hello.
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 Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Viper.
You are indeed.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Drongo. J'habite
Australie.
Australia.
Yeah. Shark. Yeah, nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the casting couch. I'm here with TheViper and MarineLorD. MarineLorD, congratulations for the victory.
Thanks.
That's 5-0 now in the group stage. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, today wasn't stressful. We just it was just like practice with Mista, right? So I didn't even really think about the Civ draft or anything. I was just okay. I'm picking that here. It's fine. We can practice this matchup, I guess. Like it didn't really matter for me, and for him, I think it matters a little bit. But it's kind of random, right? So
He could have improved his seed. He could have maybe gotten seed 3 if he beat you. But I think seed 4, seed 5 now, for sure.
Yeah.
So that means you might meet him again in the semifinal.
yeah, maybe. We will see, right? You have to win a quarterfinal first, and it's pretty close. So
All right, well, we'll talk a little bit about that series in a bit, but I want to know more about you heading into these semi-finals. So you'll be going straight through. Is there somebody that you don't want to go up against?
yeah, Viper is very dangerous right
Watch
now.
out for him.
Those A2 players are so good, so I'm very scared. I don't know now. Like everyone is really close, I think. So maybe in terms of style, Mista is like crazy, and it can maybe tilt you pretty quickly. But I don't really care, honestly. Like I play just defensive macro, and I try to adapt to what I see. If I have a strong Civ that attacks, I will attack well, and I don't know. I just play the game, right?
Let's talk about the games then.
Yeah.
First game, Mongols against English. Was that a matchup you expected? And how do you feel playing Mongols against English?
I think it's very favorite for Mongols, but to be honest, like I tried to playing like him with like a lot of farms, and then he was stable. I think it's actually pretty strong because I think English is pretty weak. And yeah, I don't know, like I heard every day like everyone is talking about like the mining upgrade, you know, on the with Mongols. So like you put everything on gold and then you buy wool and food. I think I tried to do that a little bit late, I think. Yeah. And I don't know, like when he came in, I had like 6 tables in production. I had so much money, but I was dead. And also like double TC, VortiX. Yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit crazy in this one.
So I think you tried to do too much at once.
Yeah, for sure.
The over was super far forward, right?
Yeah.
Did you consider putting the pasture on the Ovu?
Not really, right? Because I think if he just comes with his scouts, he can just take my ship. So like, I don't want that to happen, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In that last game, you were playing as the Abbasid dynasty going up against the Mongols.
Yeah.
Once again, we see this is an interesting matchup. The Mongols, do they at least scare you a little bit with that trade boom?
I mean, I tried doing that too, so like, not really. Actually, I was practicing earlier Mongol with this strategy against Abbasid LucifoN. And Mista was with me, and we were like talking together while playing, you know. And he was like, yeah, if we do that maybe better, and that maybe better, maybe. But I felt like he did pretty right, no? It was alright.
It wasn't terrible.
Still feels too fragile.
Yeah, it's very fragile.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
really hard.
once you have +2 armor, the tower really don't matter anymore. So like, I'm not sure. It definitely, like for sure, it feels like Abbasid is extremely strong against Mongols. And I think Abbasid overall is top 2 Civ. Maybe the best, actually. I don't know.
Are you going to ban Abbasid in the semis?
No. Delhi is just
Do
like...
you remember Delhi?
Oh, those, yeah.
Delhi is just stupid strong. Like, you can't really outplay them, right? At least Abbasid, you have room to outplay. So, yeah.
In the second game, we had King of the Hill, French Mirror.
Yeah.
Normal matchup there.
Mm-hmm.
Were you at any point scared of Mista landmark snipes?
Oh, no. Landmark snaps, not really. But when I saw the attack, I was like, what the fuck? I didn't scoot that. So where is it? I guess he hit the barrack.
He had 4 barracks forward. 4 barracks and a blacksmith.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I guess if he goes spear, then my TC deals a lot of damage. If he goes Manatarm, he can, but my knights are gonna win. So I'm not sure what was the plan. I don't know.
Well, he never scouted your double stables,
Okay.
triple stables. If he saw a double stable and just go full pikeman
Mhm.
and rams, maybe.
Yeah, but Rams, oh, it's a blacksmith on top of it, right? I'm not sure. Did he
Yeah,
have
he had a blacksmith
I
as
didn't
well.
have
A forward blacksmith.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been.
But then, yeah, it's a lot of food. Maybe he didn't have that. I don't know.
Well, your counterattack came at the right time,
Yeah.
right? And you got this whole base trade situation
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
And usually, like in French Mirror, I just set up myself to be ahead if nothing happened because I go like wheelbarrow, pro scouts, the hunt upgrade, I'm not sure the name, and
Survival
horticulture.
techniques.
So I get the 4, right?
Yeah.
And I get a lot of food. So I'm just like slightly ahead if I just play well, and I try to play well, and then usually it's good for me.
In that third game, Holy Roman Empire against Abbasid, we don't really see this matchup a lot.
Yeah.
Were you feeling pretty good coming into the game?
I think it's actually like it's two of the best civ right now. I don't know, like when he tried to deny my gold, I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna be a little bit bad. But then he went away, so I was like, okay, my goal was go fast h3 and bait the fact that I want to take the relic, but I don't really want actually. I want to make knights and then take the relics, right? So like it was a 2-part plan, and he let me make a lot of knights, and then I was fine, I guess. And on top of that, I was a little bit lucky with my prelate, and they are a little bit broken right now because they run too fast.
What were you expecting him to do to try and deny your relics?
I expected him to do like maybe 2 TCs or into like 4 stable and 2 range for Camel Archer maybe, like something like that.
So you were not surprised by the Mass Horseman?
No, I mean, he said after the game like I should have gone pikes because I saw stable, but if you go pikes, my prelate almost run faster, right? So I'm not really sure if that's possible, but maybe.
But like full horsemen don't work against lancers either, right? Or knights.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a tricky one.
And like if he really wants to go for like a lot of pikes, I can go Lance Connect, right? So it's hard.
Lansknecht.
Yeah. So it's really hard. I don't know. We have to figure this matchup out too, I think.
I have one final question, but if you have another one, then
I do. I do have another question,
yours
but
first.
it's a bit of a short one, so you can...
my question is simply, what rank is Mongols right now? 1 to 8.
Okay, Delhi is 1. Abbasid is 2.
Just give me a sec, I've got to write this down. I've got a tier list to do.
And I don't know because everyone complains about HRE against Mongol, but I feel like it's good for HRE. I never had
Think
the
so?
problem. I mean, I think it's fine. It depends on the map, right? If it's on Arabia, it's going to be a little bit harder, but you don't play
you're
HRE there.
circumventing like, the question.
Overall, okay, so I say Mongol third and
Third.
HRE.
You think Mongols are third?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the lowest win rate in the tournament, by
HRE.
far, you think
I'm going to
they're the
practice
worst.
it all day long tomorrow, and it's going to be fine. HRE fourth, I think.
HRE
Then-
are fourth.
Then I say French as 5. And then the 3 others, it's really depending on maps and like it's very weird.
I asked for Mongols, but we got the whole tier list, so that's pretty good.
Look at my win
That's
rate,
pretty
man.
good.
Mongols, negative. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, it does feel bad. All right, well, my final question for you, MarineLorD, is we are heading into set number 4 tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be Leenock, who is going up against LucifoN.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins? And keep in mind, it is a knockout set. Whoever wins that goes through. Whoever loses, they're gone.
Okay. I really like them both. It's a little bit sad, but I think Leenock is a little bit stronger. But Leenock sometimes really fail his drafts, and he just loses on that. So I don't think he will be as crazy as against VortiX, like China on Arabia. So I think actually Leenock is very dangerous, and he might win, and then maybe go further, right? I think.
All right, fellas. Well, you've heard it here first. MarineLorD thinks that Leenock might have a chance. So make sure you stay around because we're going to have that 4th set coming up for you very soon. We're going to cut to some highlights and then it's straight into the 4th set of this evening.